Alright guys, so it's been a while since I've done this one. Mostly because there's been some life updates. One, I moved to Seattle. Second, I don't work on building databases outside of work now. Last time I was making recordings, I was working on building a SQLite clone and just messing around with Rust doing that. Well, now I finally just do that full time at Microsoft on the database called Garnet. Uh, anyway, so the video today is going to be about me putting Garnet. Well, I'm just having this whole, I guess, like mindset shift of I'm paying way too much for my personal website, for having a Redis add-on, for having Postgres and like a Rails server. I just don't see the point of it anymore. I don't see the point in a lot of the hosting that I've been doing on cloud anymore. And some of it could be just because I want to cosplay being a system admin and setting up RAID servers on my own and whatnot. But yeah, it is what it is. So since I work in Garnet, I figured if I'm going to be replacing my database on cloud to self-hosting something, why not choose a database that I am probably the most familiar with in terms of internals, which is Garnet. So for those of you who don't know, Garnet is just like legit think of it as like a Redis competitor out there. The same way there's Valkey, there's Dragonfly, there's Garnet. Except Garnet offers higher, better thread scalability. And it's also not single thread like Redis, which is one of the big heavy hitting points of it. And then the second big thing, which I think is really important for me, is it lets you scale beyond in-memory data. So you can configure it to have some amount of data in memory, and it eventually starts like, if you start exceeding the amount of like memory you've configured, it starts putting stuff on the disk. And when I'm working with something like a Raspberry Pi, I only have the model with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and yeah, I could really use something that does not need to hog my memory. So anyway, I've got Raspberry Pi set up in here. I'm already inside of it. I've got a directory saying Garnet experiments. Stuff that I've done is I have .NET installed Garnet server. So for those of you who don't know, Garnet server is basically the CLI way of interacting with Garnet. So Garnet's written in .NET. .NET offers this .NET tools concept, which are just being able to install binaries instead of having me to pull the code, build it, and then run it locally. I can just install .NET tools and then use that. So the core thing today is basically just figuring out, all right, like what kind of configuration do I need Garnet to be running in a low memory environment? And also, what are the things that I really need and things I can get away with? So Garnet's got a lot of cool features, like you can get strong durability guarantees with stuff like AOF, which is append only file, and we use it like similar to how Postgres and SQLite may use a wall log, which is write ahead log. Also, I said wall log. It's like saying chai tea, very similar. Anyway, what it does is anytime it has a command coming in, it first, before it sends you back the response after processing that command, it makes sure it puts it on an append only file. And that file is based on your configuration, following some guarantee of putting it on disk. So even if the Garnet server goes down, it can replay that AOF log and it can rehydrate its state. The other thing you can do is you can be checkpointing, which is, how Redis has that save command? This also has the save command, and you can use that to basically say, hey, this is the stuff that's in memory, just put it away so I can use this for later. But yeah, that's about it. So now let's get to what I want to use it for. So my use case for Garnet is to actually replace Rails sidekick. Actually, even before we go into that, I've ported my personal website from Rails to .NET just because I was struggling so much with the upgrade process because I had nothing upgraded in like the last 3 years. I just let Cursor take the wheel and go ahead and upgrade stuff for me. But Yeah, so I guess I'm going to be using Hangfire for that. So the things that I really need for my Garnet experiment to be viable for me in this low memory environment is let's go ahead and make a quick file describing what all I need. Let's see. Features needed. Cool. So the other reason why I'm actually making this into like a recording is I see a lot of value in me being able to run this in a memory constrained environment, because I have been working on a few features that are very specific to memory reclamation and then reuse of memory. So those features are basically how Garnet does active expiration. And the second is I've been just working through rarefication. What rarefication is, it basically, it's the idea of like reusing records or reusing space in memory that has been deleted. Active expiration is, Redis also has the concept of active expiration, and what it is basically when a key in Redis expires or in Garnet expires, there's two ways to get rid of it from memory. Also, my headphones just set power off, so there's that. But the two ways to handle dealing with like stuff getting expired is that you do a get for that key, and then internally Redis or Garnet sees that, hey, this record that you're trying to retrieve is expired, and it goes ahead and evicts it from memory. The second is the active expiration, which is well, actually, even before we get to that, let's talk about like what are the drawbacks of having this passive expiration thing only. So the biggest issue is if I have keys that have set for expiration for like 10 seconds, and then I never do a get on them, after those 10 seconds, no one's evicting them. They're just sitting around there taking up memory. So just to get the idea clear. Now, active expiration basically does scanning of our of all the records in memory, and it just says, hey, this one's already expired, go ahead and delete it, and they're logically already deleted, but this one actually physically tombstones them. And verification, what it does is it just keeps collecting these records such that if I later send a request saying, hey, give me space for this many bytes, it says, hey, I already had this space that I collected before, why don't you go ahead and reuse it. So that's pretty much active expiration verification. So I'm going to start with my requirements, right? So let's see. Also, I'm realizing I can't really resize the font size over here. I can't like fix the font size here, so we will just use this. And then let's see, I haven't opened the folder, so it might just be easier if I go in from, let's see. Cool. So let's go into Garnet. Nope. LS. Where is Garnet? Get branch. Let's pull the latest. Cool. All right, we have the latest branch over here, and the reason I'm pulling up the code base is I want to be able to inspect some of the some of the requirements that I have. For example, we'll see that in options there's things called checkpointing and compaction. What do they mean? I need to go back here and I need to check them. So that's the whole idea of having VS Code open on the site. This is also a brand new computer for me, so I've got .NET 9 installed, I've got VS Code installed, and I think everything should just work as it is. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how it works out. So first option, okay, cool. Now let's just go ahead and add a new requirements for me.md. Cool. HK's environment. Cool. So what I mean by HK's requirement over here is environment over here is what are the constraints that I have regarding the disk size and then the memory size. So df that -h should tell me, cool, so here we have the root directory, which has 98 gigs available, 12 gigs already being used. I'm not sure on what, if I'm being honest. But yeah, essentially I have 98 gigs of like storage space, secondary storage space on the SD card. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I understand solid state drives and then hard disk drives. I don't exactly understand how SD cards work. So let's go ahead and just take this over here, or just mention that I have 98 gigs of disk space that I can use. Disk space to use, right? And we'll go back and we'll check. You know, I don't even know why I'm recording this. Like, most of this is just gonna be me going on side quests and figuring out, hey, like SD card versus HDD versus SSD. Cool. Something's wrong with the language server. We can come back to that. And we go in here. Cool. So next up, I want to see how much memory I can. Am I really working with? So I believe I should have a command in here somewhere further up. Yeah, free-h. It just tells me right now in this moment with everything running, I have 7.6 gigs of total memory, out of which I am using 485 megabits, and then I have 3.2 gigabyte free memory, and then available is 7.2. Okay, that lines up. Cool. So side quest number 2, free versus available. Free versus also 511 megabytes of. So why am I saying mebi versus megabyte is, I know like MB is supposed to be megabyte, GB is gigabyte, and then GI and MI is mebi, and yeah, basically it's a different unit of measurement, but they're roughly equivalent, and I'm just going to use gigabytes in my head over here. So 7.2 gigabytes available, and something I'd like to check is free versus available. So Control-Shift-C, let's get that out of here. And then my, unfortunately, once I'm in the VNC viewer, I'm losing the ability to be able to like switch between my windows on a Mac. So yeah, it is what it is. Let's see, we had 3.2 gigs free memory, well, and then available. Cool. Side quest. I don't know why I did that. Side quest free versus available. Cool. So these are both actually questions I can ask Copilot. So we will get to that in just a second. The other really cool thing that I realized is I intend to run my server, like my web server, right? Web server plus Garnet server on the same machine, right? And when I'm on the same machine, I can actually bypass the need to use any of like the network interface stuff by using Unix domain sockets. And Unix domain sockets is basically just exactly what I said, like letting me bypass the need to go over the networking stack. And when you're doing process-to-process communication, it just happens to be that this is something that Garnet supports. I've never really used it, and it is something I'm curious about. So we're gonna hook that up. Outside of that, let's see. We don't need the AOF. The reason I say that is the AOF is going to be per command you're adding something to in memory and then eventually putting it onto disk. You would want that if you want some like really if you want strong durability guarantees. Why do I not want it? Let's see. So the way Hangfire would work, or the way I intend to use Redis, is pretty much as a cache. I will most probably take SQLite and use that as the actual like durable storage, and then use Redis for job scheduling. We'll use Hangfire, which will think it's using Redis, but it's actually using Garnet, because Garnet lets you interact with it exactly as if it's Redis, because it's REST. It follows the REST protocol, which both technologies share, and then yeah, so that's pretty much the idea behind this. Now, I don't need the AOF because, well, it's fine if I lose the data in the in like any of the jobs that are ongoing. Anything that's actually needed for persistence is put on SQLite, so I don't need AOF. The second thing that I would like to have is, so let's just think about this, right? Compaction, checkpointing. Actually, forget checkpointing. Let's just talk about compaction. Cool. So anytime you have a log structured storage system, you're pretty much using it to append stuff, right? And Garnet's a little bit different, where not only does it append stuff in certain cases, it tries to do as much like in-place updates on a small section of this, not small, on like a section of this log, and that's where it's doing like update, or like what I call as read, modify, write operations. Deletes will start tombstoning stuff, and the whole idea is that this log, as we keep adding stuff, it logically shifts backwards and keeps getting put on the disk, right? So on disk, what that looks like, you have segment files for the log, which is called the hybrid log, and it's called hybrid because it not only is it like a log, but it's also got that in-memory portion, and it like spans your main memory and your secondary storage. But anyway, you have these segment files that are the disk portion of your log, and if you don't sort of like garbage collect the stuff in the back, you'll just keep putting stuff on disk for a very long time, and eventually you'll run out of disk space. So we need some sort of like compaction happening for the hybrid log itself. Now, I could use the idea of like, let's say I wanted to use it exactly the way Redis does it, which is like to like put nothing on disk. Just if something is about to go to disk, just like evict it. I could just say that like, hey, there's no secondary storage device. Just evict stuff. I don't want to do that. Actually, why don't I want to do that? Okay, yes, I know why I don't want to do that. I have 7.2 gigs of available available memory right now, and once I have the .NET web server running, and I have, well, SQLite's not going to take anything. I'm assuming I need to run like some monitoring agents, some stuff to like, yeah, mostly just monitoring agent. I don't know. I intend to keep stuff pretty light on the Raspberry Pi. That's going to take memory as well, and eventually we're going to be looking at something that is probably not 7.2 gigabytes, which is already a pretty small number, because if you see some of the default values for how much in-memory space the hybrid log starts with, it's like 16 gigabytes, and we're way under that already, so we need to shift that down. So if I have such small space in main memory, what I could do is I'll say, okay, cool, I have a small main memory space, and the disk space, I will say, cool, like I'll let it use a certain amount of size, and the total what's the word? The total storage space that my Garnet server is going to have is what I can put on disk and what I can have in memory. And because of the algorithm of like following the log, where the most frequent updates are pretty much just in memory, and the stuff that's not getting used eventually goes to disk, we're already following like a least recently used cache. So I'll let Garnet just do that, and where it needs to put stuff on disk, it can go ahead and put that. So I do need compaction. The really long way of saying this, I need this. I need this because my main memory space is quite small. Cool, so I know I need compaction, and there's different kinds of compactions, so we'll go look at the documentation for it and see how I should be dealing with it. The two other things are, I haven't mentioned the object store. So with Garnet and Redis, you could either be interacting with string-based key value data types, or you could be dealing with key value data types, but instead of the value being a string, you could have these like complex data structures like hyperlog log, sorted sets. Sorted sets are actually super popular. I feel like every time I see someone using Redis, they're also using sorted set with it. You have hash tables, you have, what else do you have? You have lists, and basically it's just like, and you can have like, you can do geo searches and whatnot. So the object store is a pretty core part. And while I don't know if Hangfire uses the object store. Actually I do know Hangfire uses the object store, because a few weeks back I was looking at someone complaining about a memory leak, and I had to hook up Hangfire to Garnet and look at what keys and values are being, what value types are being created, and it was object store stuff. So we're going to say I do need the object store, but that comes by default, so I'm not too concerned. Compaction is the big thing that I'm thinking of that I need to like sort of white box a little more maybe. Mostly because there's different kinds of compaction, and while I've used one specific kind of compaction at my day job pretty frequently, I haven't used the others. And one of them is called the shift compaction, which basically just says, hey, the oldest segments are deleted, and it just blindly deletes them. The other is called the scan, which like goes up and says, hey, is this alive? If it is alive, puts it in the front. So I'm gonna do a little bit more of reading on that before I go ahead and commit to it. Let's see, compaction, and then we need to use local storage device. Yep. So I already mentioned I need stuff going to disk. So I'm not sure where exactly this needs to be configured, but I do need a local storage device. Write to disk and stuff. Overflows instead of blindly evicting. Cool. Yep, with that being said, let's go look at some of our side quests. So for the side quest, let's see, I don't want to use agent mode. I just want to use the, can you explain me the difference in SD card storage versus HDD storage / SSD storage. Cool. SD card is using flash memory, write speeds poor compared to SSD for random IO, 32 gigabytes to 1 terabyte. Yep, we have around how much do we have? We have 98 gigabytes of space on it, so we're pretty good. Embedded systems, moderate per GB, cool. Mechanical spinning disks, higher read-write speeds, random IO is also slow. Latency is cool, okay, that's fine. And then, so that's the thing, right? In my head, flash, okay, all I remembered about SD card storage was that they use flash memory, and SSDs also use flash memory. So I was like, I wonder if their performance is comparable, right? But it's not. As you can see, it is way faster, excellent for random IO, everything's great. Now, cool, so Copilot's also telling me about my Garnet server setup. I know SSD would be the best. No, but I don't have it. And I don't want to buy more like equipment for this. HDD, I do plan to hook that up, but that's fine. SD card, not recommended for server use, not designed for continuous server workloads, lower durability under heavy. Okay, cool. So at some point we need to migrate away from the SD card storage for for the actual database files, and that will be done, just not yet. Limited, fast random access, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, we know that. Cool, thanks ChatGPT for that. Or, sorry, Copilot. And the next question is free memory versus available memory. Cool, let's look at this. Memory is completely unused and immediately available for allocation. Instantly without any cleanup. Cool, okay. Okay, got it. Free memory includes free memory, plus caches that can be freed, plus buffers that can be released, plus memory by inactive processes. Cool. Okay, that lines up. Cool. So I do have my full 7.2 gigabytes of memory available right now, which is great. I will work with that. Um, cool. So these side quests are done. Let's go look into what options we have inside of Garnet server. So for that, we will be going into my Raspberry Pi. So garnet-server-help. And this should print out a bunch of commands, just as we expected, right? So let's start going from the top and see what we're talking about. So real quick, since everything runs on the same machine, I don't intend to open up any ports. Everything runs on 6379 by default. I don't need authorization or authentication on this. The Garnet server and yeah, like the only port I'll open is I will do some port forwarding setup where 443 will be open and traffic can go through that using Cloudflare. But my Garnet server remains isolated from like external traffic, and that works out just fine. Cool. So the first thing that I'm looking at is total log memory used in bytes. So the default is 16 gigabytes, which is way too high. So I'm going to move that down to 5. Okay, before we start, let's set a budget. I would like and we should keep this budget in here, right? Because then we have something that we're comparing what the expected amount of memory usage was and what happened so when we actually run it. Right, so the expected memory usage, okay, no, not even that. So main memory budget for Garnet server, and we're gonna try to keep everything under this budget. Is gonna be, let's see. So I want the hybrid log for your key value string based storage to be around 512 megabytes. I want the 512 megabytes. Let's just keep that over there. Let's go back over here. The page size of each page in bytes. So the hybrid log is divided into page sizes. 32 megabytes for each page might be too big if all I'm using is 512 megabytes. So yeah, let's play around with this one and we'll come back to it in a second, right? So let's see. Page size, and I bet you there's recommendations we can use. What I will do is I will start adding the flags we're going to be using. 512 MB -- the next one we were looking at is page size. Question. We will come back to this in a second. And let's see, page size, segment size of each log segment bytes on disk. Default is 1 gigabyte. Let's see, I have a lot of space on my disk, 98 gigabytes of space, and I will abuse it for now. And I would say, cool, keep the segment size as what it is. What we will change though is how many segment files we keep in on the disk at any point. So I'll limit that to like some gigabytes. The next one is index. Index is default, it's using 128 megabyte. Jeez. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and add that over here. 128 megabyte for the hash index. And hybrid log. Cool. So the hash index is what points to records on the hybrid log, and it is at the end of the day, like the way I view it is a big dictionary. The index are the buckets, and then like the values are saved to a pointer on the hybrid log, which could be in memory or on disk. But yeah, 128 megabytes just for the index portion of it. Now, the 128 megabyte, right? Since the hash index needs to keep stuff that it's pointing to on disk as well as what's on hybrid log, I think the 128 megabytes is doable and okay. So I'm not too concerned about that. let's go back to our NC viewer. Or honestly, I don't even know why I'm using the Raspberry Pi for this stuff, because it makes switching back and forth really hard. What I should do instead, right, is let's move this to the right side. Oh, beautiful. That is exactly what I was looking for. Control Shift E, Shift Escape, cool. ls and cd main Garnet server. Cool. Now I'm going to run .NET run -- help. So on my personal MacBook, I'm actually building Garnet server right now. On my Raspberry Pi, I've pre-installed the binaries. I'm not going to be building anything. I'm not going to develop on the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to develop on my Mac. And then I'm going to have some sort of deploy pipeline that puts the binaries onto the Raspberry Pi, and then we'll build up the whole ecosystem for it. But I need to specify the framework. Cool. -f net 9.0. So I believe right now Garnet supports .NET 8 and .NET 9. Alright, perfect, cool. So here we are. Let's go from the top. So you need to specify the framework when you're building it. Not a surprise. Easily solved problem. Let's keep going forward. Memory, page size, we don't know. Segment size, default to 1 GB on disk. That's fine. Index size, 128 megabytes. Index max size, cool. So the index max size, right, is basically the hash index. If there's lots of, actually I'm not completely sure when do they resize it. But I would understand if there's lots of conflicts on the same bucket where lots of your keys are going to a bucket that already has it, it starts creating this like linked list of records, right? And your time complexity for finding those records gets affected by that. It starts going up. And it's not great for scalability if your hash index is too small. Think of like the worst case scenario, you just make a huge linked list, right? So they have the option of like the hash index being able to resize itself. I don't want that. I want to stick with this single hash index size because I don't think I'll need to scale up or scale down. And that's fine. Cool. So the mutable percent, let's go into that. Mutable percent is the percentage. So the hybrid log that I mentioned there's a main memory portion, then there's a disk portion. The main memory portion is divided into two further portions. One is the read-only region and one is the mutable region. So mutable region is where if I get an update on a record that the hash index points to and goes on the mutable region, I go ahead and update it right there in place, right? If it's in the read-only region, I need to move it. I need to create a copy forward at the tail of the log, so at the very end of it, and then sort of like mem copy and then do the transformation of the value on the right side here. Very similar to how we do stuff if something's on disk, bring it forward, do an update, do a full copy, and then do the update. So they call that the read copy update. The mutable region, we can keep it as a default of 90%. So 90% of my 512 megabytes is going to be the in-place updatable stuff. Read cache, I do not need this. Why do I not need this? I'm not sure. Oh, yes, I know why. I have not used the read cache in production before, and I want to slowly take some of the newer features. Some of the stuff that I really do need is verification and active expiration. So I'm already taking stuff that I think is pretty brand new for Garnet. I don't want to combine that with something I'm further not familiar with, which is the read cache. But what the read cache does is, inside of Garnet itself, it starts caching stuff that it's bringing from disk. Yeah, I have no need for it at the moment. Object heap memory size. Okay, cool. So now this is object heap memory. Cool. So this is, remember how I spoke about the object store part of Garnet, and the way it's internally implemented is the records on the hybrid log. So remember how we had a pointer from the hash index to the hybrid log? Well, the hybrid log further points to memory, to an object in the process's memory. And this object is like a .NET object, like a C# class that has been instantiated, and that's a sorted set, right? And they keep that in memory. and the hybrid log then further points to it. So the object heap memory size is the heap memory is the config or the flag that I can use to say, okay, like it shouldn't be taking more than this much space. And actually, I'm pretty confused on this one, mostly because I've never used this flag before, and also like what happens if it exceeds this size. Yeah, because technically, the hybrid log is the portion that we move to disk, right? And we serialize objects to disk with it as well. But the object log memory is separate from the object heap memory, right? So we need to come back to this. What happens when this is exceeded? How does this work? Cool, so we'll come back to that in a second, and we'll trace through the code together to do that. Object log memory, so default is 32 megabytes, and I am okay with that. 32 megabytes. So the reason why the object store has so much smaller space is than the main store for the hybrid log is in the hybrid log for the key value string based stores, we're putting the entire value inline inside of the hybrid log. Over here, we point it to a C# object, so it can be much smaller. So object, I think all of the spaces are actually the same size as well. So yeah, ob store log. I'm just calling it hlog. Hybrid log's getting too long for me. Object store page size 4K. Cool. I will keep it to 4K. I will not mess with it. Object store object segment. Okay, size of each object store log segment in bytes on disk, 32 megabytes. I'm okay with that. Object store index is 16. So object store index. Why is it so much lower? So the object store hybrid log being smaller size than the main store makes sense. The object store index being so much smaller, not as much. So we'll get back to this. Cool, so let's see. This is a side quest we need to come back to. This is a side quest. And then the index max size, not interacting with that. Mutable percentage, keep it to 90. No read caches. Read cache, read cache, read cache. Cool. All right, now we're getting to the, remember how I mentioned that we need local storage device? Something to, like, secondary storage that we can flush stuff to? And that's where storage tier comes in place. To specify, cool. So storage tier is something we need. Storage-tier is set to true, and then we also need to use a log directory. Cool, so log dir. So let's see, storage directory for tiered records if tiering -- storage is enabled. -- storage, is that a typo in the code? I wonder if it meant -- storage - tier instead. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Log directory, right? So in Linux, there is a directory that I'm supposed to use where I can place my database files, and I'll have to make something that's in the right place, and I'll have to create that. So where to store disk data or hlog. Cool, so we'll come back to that. That's just something we need to like do on the actual Raspberry Pi. Checkpoint directory uses log directory if unspecified. We're not using checkpointing. Recover from latest checkpoint. Actually, do we want to use checkpoints? Can I even use, okay, so real quick, checkpointing, right? For your memory portion, what you can do is you can say, hey, at this, like, okay, if your server goes down, all the stuff that was in the memory portion of your hybrid log gets lost. All the stuff that's on disk is still there, and you can, read it up and come to that state. But Garnet provides the way, like when you say save, what it does is it takes a snapshot, or I guess there's one particular kind of checkpoint that I'm like used to using, called snapshot checkpointing, which takes a snapshot of your memory portion, puts it on disk, and says, hey, like if you restart, recover from this exact like state. And I do want to use that, so I guess I do want checkpointing. I do want checkpointing, but is there a way for me to say, hey, checkpoint every n minutes or n seconds? I'm not sure, so we'll go into that in a second. But yes, let's say recover true, and then we'll come back to, do I need to say use checkpointing? Recover true, no pub sub. I do want pub sub. Actually, I definitely need pub sub. I'm pretty sure Hangfire would be using it. Incremental snapshots, not sure. This is a newer feature, not familiar with it, and not needed for me. Pub sub page size, not very. No object port for data. Disable support for data structure objects. Oh, no object. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I want objects. I don't want a cluster. Cool, now we are looking at auth. We will skip all this stuff. We will skip AAD. It'll be better if there we go, cool. Now AOF, we are not using the AOF. Why are we not using the AOF? Yeah, because I don't want to be, I will just use snapshots. I don't need to be adding every single interaction with my Redis or my Garnet server going to disk. So no AOF. AOF, yeah, so we'll just skip all the AOF ones. Compaction frequency, yes, so we had mentioned compaction before. Compaction frequency, disabled, 0 is equal to disabled, before checkpointing instead, okay. Cool, so if I disable compaction frequency, like doing it every now and then, can I just depend on checkpointing doing it for me? You know what, that's what I'll do. I will leave this to say, yeah, I will come back to this. I'm not sure if I need to configure compaction. If I'm just going to be saying, hey, send this save command every now and then. Expired object collection frequency. Let's go ahead and use that. Expired object collection. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. I view it as like a part of what's it called? Active expiration for the object store. And every 10 seconds it's going to go and it's going to do a periodic task to collect expired objects. Compaction type. Cool. Compaction dash type is shift begin address without compaction, data loss, shift, that's yes, I was aware of that one. Scan. Look up each record and for checking use hash chain, no data loss. Cool, we need to come back to compaction type. And compaction max segments, number of files we're going to keep. Disk before compaction triggers. Got it. Compaction type. So I'm going to say I either need scan or I need lookup. I don't want to lose the data randomly, so we'll come back to this in a second. Compaction max segments. Default is 32. 32 means it's going to take 32 gigabytes before it triggers it. Way too much. I'm not dealing with that much. Let's say 2. So after 2 gigabytes going to disk, it's going to say, hey, do the operation to scan that stuff and figure out what's live and put it in memory, or just basically remove the garbage. It's basically like a maintenance operation on the hybrid log. Similarly for objects compaction, max segments 2. Cool. Lua scripting. I do not want Lua scripting. These are all cluster stuff, so I'm not concerned about that. I don't need TLS. Everything's running locally. I don't need certificates, clients. Track latency of various events. Ooh, this is nice. This is nice. Latency. Latency monitor true. So I haven't even thought about how to monitor like any amount of like latency that I'll be doing, or like any. There's no metrics. There's no monitors. I guess I could use like the info command to see how much memory I'm using and whatnot. But in terms of like performance, I haven't hooked up anything to it. So I'm not sure how to use latency monitor, but I'm going to look into this, and I think this is something that's very relevant for me. Slow log, metric sampling, disables metrics, enabling quiet mode. Okay, cool. I do want some amount of metrics, so I'm just going to say metrics sampling. And I'm going to say sample every 15 seconds. Logger level, default is warning. You know, I haven't figured out how I'm going to deal with like shipping log files either. So yeah, I'm going to leave logging as it is, default. File logger, we will need it in the future. So for my logging solution, I'm thinking, yeah, log stuff to a file, and then like I'll go and I'll like grep stuff when I need to, and I'll use a log file to analyze it. But yeah, like I'm not too concerned with the file logger right now. Minimum worker threads and thread pool. Ooh, right. So this is some like .NET stuff over here where you have the concept of having a thread pool, and this is deciding like how much should that thread pool scale down to or like scale out to. Yeah, not relevant. Leave it to default, and minimum IO threads, minimum IO completion threads in thread pool. 0 uses system default. Uses system default. The system knows better than me at this. Maximum number of simultaneously active network connections. So Garnet is going to be establishing TCP connections with the client. I don't need to worry about this. The reason I'm saying that is, yeah, why would I want it to drop? I'm sure there's like some sort of port exhaustion that one could run into if you just had no limit and it's open to public. But I know like my personal website, the amount of like jobs it creates and whatnot, and I'm okay with unlimited connections on that. It's not going to hit the limits. I'm not using Azure storage. The whole point is to move away from cloud right now. So yeah. Whether and by how much we should throttle, the disk IO for checkpoints. Not concerned. Use fast commit when writing AOF. Not sure what fast commit is. Don't need it. Main memory replication. Not relevant. Not relevant. When missing when attaching. Ooh. Yeah, not relevant either. AOF null device. Yeah, no, this is if I was okay with like when stuff is too big for memory, it starts evicting stuff and it just loses it. I do not want this enabled either. Let's see. Use Azure, use native device Linux. So in production, I've only run Garnet on the Windows server. Now Garnet has equivalent performance on Linux and Windows. And I know there's some like C++ code that they have in here in the Savret layer and whatnot for the native interactions, but I have never run it with native device Linux. But let's see. The thing is, if stuff goes wrong in the native layer, I don't even know where to start with. So I'm not going to enable this yet. But this is a good point. Like if I'm on Linux, I'm already like thinking of like using Unix domain sockets. Native device Linux would be a pretty good option for me to start testing out, but we will leave that. Now we're down to rarefication. So rarefication, since I don't have an idea on like the distribution of the sizes of the records that are going on my disk or in my Garnet server, I'm just going to use the default -- reviv, and we will look at the info and we will go from there. Best fit after finding first fit. This default can be by in-chain only. Search this number if the search cannot be satisfied in the best fitting bin. Requires verification to be already. Okay, cool. I'm not worrying about that. Reviv object bin record count. Number of records in the single free record bin, unless the main store is using the free record list. Cool. Yeah, the verification of like object store stuff, not completely sure. The reason it's so small, I believe, is because we just don't need as like object store is pretty small in general. Yeah, not concerned. I'm gonna let it be. Protected mode is default by true. I don't know what protected mode is either. I will come back to that. Index, resize, frequency. So it might like, I think by default it does resize the index. Okay. Index, resize, frequency. I think -1 were turned off. So we need to look into that. Fail on recovery. Yes, I remember adding this. Errors happen during boot up of AOF and checkpointing. So basically when your server is recovering, right, if there's ever an error, like exception that's thrown, or like an error that happens in any of the replay replay commands, this feature says, hey, just like crash the server. I added this because I had a use case where if everything does not get replayed, it doesn't come to the same state, and that's a problem for me. So I remember adding that. I'm going to leave it. Cool. Now we're down to Lua. We're not using Lua scripting. We are using Unix sockets. So let's go ahead and add that -- Unix socket. So for the Unix socket, I'll have to make a file, something like Garnet server.sock, and that should be enough. And my Redis CLI can talk to Garnet over this Unix socket, instead of like going over the network interface. So cool. I think that's set. I can have multiple databases. So the cool stuff about this is, and the reason I'm taking the effort to set up Garnet is, in my mind, having one instance of the server, right, and then different applications that I run on my Raspberry Pi can like hook into different databases of Garnet. I think that's the ideal scenario where like, I know there's like a noisy neighbor and like it's basically like multi-tenancy for databases over the same server, but I don't care. I just need separation between the two databases, and I get that from different databases as a concept on the same single server. So we'll keep the default of 16. I don't think I'll have 16 apps running on my Raspberry Pi anyway. I might add two probably realistically, and yeah, we'll keep that. And also expired key. Yes, I definitely want this. I have worked on this to basically get us active expiration working. Expired key, deletion, scan, frec. I would say every 30 seconds, right? And you know, I don't even know why I'm doing this every 10 seconds. This could be every 45 seconds. 120 seconds. It stays in there for 2 minutes. Yeah, that's completely fine with me. And this can be every minute. Display this help screen, version. Cool. I think that is it. Now what I need to do is go into the different side quests and go and explore what maps to what and what the right values should be. So let's see what side quests we've collected. So page size, I don't know. Object heap memory, I don't understand. Compaction frequency, I do need this. I need to figure out which one. And then over here, I'm going to add 2 more question marks to be like, which one? And then we will get to running Garnet. Awesome. I'm going to take a quick pause over here, and yeah, we'll continue by going to the actual Raspberry Pi now. let's see, how do I, all right, let us get back. Cool. So question one, the page size for 512 megabyte total hybrid log space, right? Um, we need to figure this out. So let's see if the docs provide us support for that. So let's go over here. And then I'm just going to do page size. Does not hold key or values, that's fine. Memory is organized where each page is configured using page size. Store a record needs to fit entirely within a page. Yes, I understand that. 8-byte, which, yeah, 8-byte header, 8-byte key header, 8-byte, cool. So outside of, it's done by configuring. This threshold is cool, I'm not concerned about that. The memory occupied is configured using blah blah blah. Number of records in the object store with each record. Okay. What about object heap memory size? Yeah, let's go look at that. You're only controlling the number of records in memory and not the total memory usage of the objects. Each record is 24 bytes long. Total memory for explicit object store, which represents the heap memory used by key byte arrays in Garnet. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't answer the question what happens when the object store heap memory size goes over. Okay, we will get back to that. But the one thing we know is the entire value needs to be able to fit on the record itself. So I'm going to go ahead and say that whatever was the default for the object store's hybrid log segment size. So let's go look at the segment size, right? Object store, I'm just going to do command F segment. Size of each object store log segment in bytes on disk, not that one. Looking at page, sorry, I am searching for the wrong stuff. Page. Page, and then I think it's object page. Size of each object store page, 4K. What, 1,000 kilobytes or a megabyte, right? If I am giving it 120, 32 megabyte object log, let's see, 512 megabyte page size. Cool. So for this portion of it, the only thing is this decides how much, like how big the max size of a record can be that goes in my key value string based store, like the biggest value it can have. It's going to be capped by this itself. So 4 kilobytes. Yeah, dude, I'm okay with 4 kilobytes. I don't intend on using it as a full-blown database, so it's fine if it's this size right now. Cool. And then the object store heap memory size. This is a good one, right? Because the documentation doesn't tell me exactly what happens when we start overflowing from this. So let's go Command Shift F for this. Cool. Configuration, test utils, don't need to look at that, don't look at this. So this is one place where we're using, okay, it's test again. let's go look at where this gets used. Object store, heap memory size, shift F12. Okay, so my, what do you say, my hotkeys from Visual Studio are not working over here. So I'm going to set it up as I go. I'm going to say I want to be able to see all references, right? That should work with just shift F12, but it's not. So let's go look at why that's happening. See all references. Is that not an option? Let's see, that would be in .NET reference. Nope. Go to references. Huh. This is using shift F12. That's what I'm using. Why are you not letting me do this, sir? Oh, I know what it is. I opened a C# project, right? But I didn't really open the C# solution. We're not in Visual Studio anymore. We're using VS Code because Microsoft retired Visual Studio, and I'm really, really not happy with that decision. So yeah, we got to open this guy. What? Why can't you open up the solution? Oh my god, come on. Gotta be kidding me. Come on, open solution. Okay, can I open the project perhaps? I am at, oof, okay, let's see, how do I do this? Command Shift X, do I have the .NET stuff I need? .NET installed, C#, that's the C# dev kit. I'm pretty sure I have it installed. I do have it installed. C# disable, switch to pre-release, auto update. Damn, dude, I have everything done as it is, but it won't let me open up the solution. That is tragic. Why won't you let me open? Okay, let's go debug this real quick. Give me some logs. Give me something. Unknown system error. Why can't you at least point me to some logs so I can figure out? Ooh, ChatGPT. Let's see. VS Code error while opening. What is system error -86? Let's see. Underlying process, unknown system error. No, I have the .NET SDK. Clear the workspace cache. There is no workspace cache here. I don't need to do that. Ensure VS Code is running natively. How do I check if it's using C#? C# dev kit, magic extension. Okay. I guess we're just gonna make do with it. It is what it is. Garnet server options, object store, Control Shift F. It is used. Let's see. All right. Object KB settings. It goes ahead and gets this and creates a new cache size tracker. So the object, if the object heap memory size is greater than 0 or the read cache, we're not using the read cache. Does that mean we're still, let's see, cache size tracker. Pretty sure cache size tracker can just be DB cache size tracker. Let's go look at that. Tracks the size of the main log and read cache based on the current size and target size. Increase or decrease memory utilization. Cool. Here it is. We give it the target size. How does it handle target size? Class a track and update the cache size. Log settings, target size. So this is what we gave it with the max memory, I guess. So it says make sure it's greater than 0, make sure it's greater than 0. Question. Object store read cache heap memory size. So this should only work. This is, okay, at least one of them has to be greater than 0. Okay, cool, that's fine. Let's go look at that. If the target size is greater than 0, create a main log tracker. And what does the log tracker do? Let's see. So it runs in the background, right? That's number one. Where is the log tracker defined? Let's go look at that. Log size tracker, cache size tracker. What object was it? Let's see. Log size tracker. And it takes in the object store, log size calculator, target size divided by delta fraction. What is a delta fraction? Delta fraction came from, where's the delta fraction from, guys? I don't know if anyone's seen this. Is it a, okay, 10% of the target size. Okay. All right, let's go look at log size tracker. Log operation observer. Not worried about this. Not worried about this class. The log size tracker. Cool. Tracks and controls the size of a log. Total size occupied by the log, including heap. Okay. Log size dot total starts. Cool. So when we run start, it just starts a background thread. Not thread safe to start multiple times. Okay, that's fine. Resizer track. While true, what is the resize if needed? If the total size is bigger than our high target size, increasing empty page count. Okay, its size within the range of plus. Okay, so you can go 10% above your configured heap memory range or 10% below, and that's what it tries to keep it. Let's see. Log size total. So if the current size is bigger than a high target size, I think the high target size is going to be like whatever we sent in times the delta. Oh yeah, plus delta. Cool. So if we're exceeding that 10%, and that's the part I'm more concerned about, I'm going to look into that. What does it do? It goes and says while the size is above it and the empty page count is less than the max empty page count. So this max empty page count that we're talking about, I would understand we're talking about the mutable, like the memory portion of the hybrid log. But let's go see what it is talking about. So let's go read through this class a little bit more closely. High target, low target, that's fine. Okay, log size is stored over here as a concurrent counter. Post empty page count if increase. Where are you defined? Okay, got it. So the way this is set is you have these action blocks, right? And the tracker sends it, and someone's going to be, it's like a channel. Someone's going to be, so the lock size tracker is the publisher and someone's the consumer. Let's go see where they set up this consumer, because from the looks of it, it has been set up earlier. So in, let's see, internal post empty page. Who has set it up? Who sets post empty page count increase? Command Shift F. Cool. So in cache size tracker, right? Post empty. Subscribe evictions, subscribe deserialization, main log. There we go. Cool. That is the test. Never mind. That is also the test. So cache size tracker tests. Cache size tracker. Is this? When we subscribe for evictions on the, I wonder if it's, so here's the main tracker. I wonder if what they're doing is the, like in subscribe evictions, it takes this tracker and it says, hey, like the tracker dot action, right? Set it to that. Let's see. Main log tracker. No, so the only way you could be setting it is int count returns 0, nothing, is equal to. So yeah, this is only in the test. Where are you doing this? What about this one? Post empty. So we post, but someone has to be. Who is going to be reading from it? No one's reading from it. Okay, this is where I pull up. Who reads from post empty. Alright, so I'm just gonna let that go burr. We will go back here and we will go keep looking for it. So when you say subscribe evictions, let's go look at that. Command Shift F. Take an observer, log subscribe, disposable. Aha. Okay. Interesting. So this over here is claiming that the cache size tracker sets up the log size tracker, but it doesn't connect it anywhere to what is being posted. Okay. Is size beyond limit? If the size is beyond limit, it goes to the is size limit. So let's go look at that. Store.log, subscribe deserializations. I still feel it's doing something over here. On eviction observer. Deserialization observer. Cool. as they get evicted from currently they only support one. Cool, so we have the concept of like subscribers on the hybrid log that are watching for stuff, but I'm still not sure where it hooks up to this guy or how it's gonna get used. I mean, this guy clearly says it's not used anywhere. Post empty. You are sending it into an action block. That is all I'm seeing. Now this would be way easier if my stuff was actually working and I could click through and I could find references to this. This is not a sealed class. Perhaps someone is inheriting from this. I don't know. Let's see. Log operation observer takes the main log tracker, right, and copy log operation observer. Where is this guy defined? Takes a tracker, increment size. This inherits from IObserver. That's fine. That's an interface. I'm not worried about like some like method doing something underneath my eyes. Takes the log operation type. On next. Okay. Calculate the record size. So we're using this to get the record size. Let's see, object store heap memory size. Okay, let's go look at inside of this repository. Are there any issues I can probably search for? Pull requests, none. There's no issues. There is the code. Let's go look at when this was added, and maybe we can make some assumptions or like understanding from looking at the PR. So view git blame. Frick. I can't look at the git blame because I'm not on my work computer. Are you kidding me? Command shift N. Where is the other? I will go look at the incognito tab, see if I can get away with doing this. So all I want to see is when that change was made, right? Let's go to options, or I think there's a Garnet server options. Garnet server. Garnet server, extensions, options. Can we browse to pull request for heap. default object store, add read cache support. Okay, cool. So there's quite a few of these. Let's see. Enforce object store during recovery. This is the last change we did. Size of object store, previously available. Okay, this is one of the PRs. Maybe in 2024, I want to say object store heap memory size. Oh, that's a for hash update rest 3 active expiration sorted sets. It's got to be much older. So read cache behavior was added on 2024. This was the simplifying the heap memory store size. Make memory size. Okay. During recovery. Cool. So this was, I think it was a part of like the original code. Let's go look at cache size tracker. There it is. Cache size tracker. Read cache size. Main log tracker. Add store functions and allocate a wrapper to its write. Dead worked on some of this. Simplify. Add read cache. So this was in the initial commit. Frick. Okay. Object store heap memory size, man. How do I go for buckets? Yeah. Index size, log size. S, you can hold at most S by 24 records in main memory. Cool. That we need to track it using a different mechanism. Okay. I think this makes sense. This will make sense in a second. There's some properties in here that we're probably using, like, there we go, target size. Okay. In the log size tracker, are we somewhere using this target size to do, let's see, starts, add size tracker, main log, increment size. Where all is this being used? Target size. The log size tracker and then the cache size tracker. Is there anything that is internal or public perhaps that is then being used? This main log tracker, was this created in here or was it injected? Main log tracker was created in here. Subscribe for eviction, subscribe for deserialization. Is size beyond limit? Okay, cool. Is size beyond limit. Has been exceeded. Okay, I think I'm getting much closer to figuring out how it's being used. Number of pages to read per iteration. So this is in recovery. I'm not concerned about recovery. What I'm thinking is this okay? Command Shift F is size beyond limit. That's where we set this function over here. And then log accessor is size beyond limit, allocator base is size beyond limit. Cool. The question then remains, how does it use it, right? Free pages to limit heap memory. Is this the only place where they're using it? Heap memory, free pages to limit. Get, leave out at least minimum page count. Get snapshot page ranges to read. Who uses this? Yeah, looks like it's only being used at. Why are you only using this at recovery? Read cache tracker. Log heap size bytes. Is anyone else using this? Log heap size bytes. I would really love it if Command Shift F allocator base would. Okay, all right, cool. This is good. Log total size bytes. No, I want total size. Although log total size bytes. Let's see. Total hybrid log size. Nope, that is the one long settings.memory size bytes. Yeah, no, that's not the one we're looking for. That was pretty close though. Memory size must be at least twice the page size. Total protected. Is there anything about object store in here? That's the thing, right? Like I know this function, whether the report's maximum has been exceeded. If set, this is a function to determine whether it's exceeded. That lines up with me. That makes complete sense to me. But why is no one using it? Is size beyond limit. And it's only used at recovery. Ya Allah. How would this work? Let's say I'm allocating stuff and the size goes above. I don't know, I'm looking at that. Object store log memory, object store heap memory size. Is it only controlling it used by key? You can use in combination to control the total memory used. You know what? Let's run Garnet server and see what happens if we just keep throwing in objects in there, and like really big objects. Yeah, I think I like that idea. The only issue is my solution is not working in VS Code, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then restart VS Code. So code done. Awesome. So this is open, and then we're gonna try to open the solution file, right? Open solution. Failed to activate. Go to output. Extensions x64. Yeah, that's no good. I need to Command Shift X. We're gonna uninstall all. Then we're gonna restart extensions, and we're gonna reinstall, and let's see how it does. Install. Cancel, don't do that. I just want you to try to open the solution file again. Okay, that is not available yet. Command Shift X. .NET. Roslyn powered, automatic NuGet. Yeah, let's see. Features, change logs, commands, Aspire. At some point I need to look into that. Garnet solution. Boom, there we go, guys. All right, we have debugged one thing successfully today. Let's go debug the second thing successfully now. All right, so where were we? Yes, we were talking about how I need to trigger this object store heap memory size to go off, right? Here's what I'm thinking. We run the Garnet server, right, with like a really small hybrid log, and with this big hybrid log, or like whatever the default is, but like a really small object heap memory size. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Cool. So how do I do this? Can I just set this as the startup project? Is that a thing? God, I really want Visual Studio again. This is not fun. Program.src, open an integrated terminal. Okay. File, view, go, run. Cool. Add configuration. C# configuration. There should be a .NET launch C#. Yep, launch C# project. Let's say, and the what I want to launch is the Garnet server. .NET launch Garnet server. No, it's in main / Garnet server. Main / Garnet server / Garnet server.cs proj. Is that right? Let's see. Forget libs. Inside of main Garnet server. Yep, that's right. And then how do I give it? Let's see. Is there .NET build? Cool. And then args. Oh, beautiful. Okay, it's doing the job decently well, but this is complaining. Why is args not allowed? Okay, .NET build. That was mad stupid. Debug server, internal console options, Linux server. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Give me ChatGPT to configure. Add command line option. Yeah, guys, so I'm also migrating back from, what's it called? from using Visual Studio at work to now using VS Code, which is completely different. Yeah. So see this over here. This is the concerning part. Nope, I don't care about any of that. All I want is okay. So the only thing I want to change is the object store .NET cd main Garnet server. Alright guys, let's wait for that. And I don't need this. What I do need is the object store max memory size. Object store max heap. Max, it was something max, I think. Or I think it was heap. Yep, there's only gotta be one heap. Object heap memory. Cool. Object heap memory, and that is set to yeah, I can easily just give it. Yep, 10K. Cool. So let me get rid of that. Why is Shift Escape not working? Command J in VS Code. Okay, I need to fix that up as well. And then let's see. It's not supported for .NET type and launch JSON. Okay. What are the other options if not launch? Let's go see. Okay. Put this in agent mode. Please write my launch my please configure VS Code for me to hit F5. F5 and build Garnet server. Garnet server in debug mode and run in debug mode. Cool. Missing framework. Okay, that can be fixed up. Yeah, that's not it. Pre-launch task, build -Garnet server. Yes, tasks.json, that does sound familiar. All right. Project, main, Garnet server proj. Process, .NET, watch, run, -- project. So you give it the project. And then I'm assuming I can also, this is the build Garnet server, this is the watch Garnet server, and there's also a clean command. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this, that looks right. I'm not entirely sure what to do, what not to do with this. Okay, I think tasks combines, launch combines different tasks. That would make sense. Args. .NET, build Garnet server, watch Garnet server, -- project, and then can I give it some, okay, you know what, let's just use this. And then how do I tell it to use C# Garnet server debugger? Cool. when I'm building it, right? Watch Garnet server, build Garnet server. Where is the launch process? Project path. All right, let's see what happens when I hit F5. Okay, framework, location, following frameworks are found, .NET 9, yep, install missing framework, download, interesting. .NET Core application command, click to follow. Why can I not specify? Let's see. And I'm going to do -- framework. And then I'm going to say net 9.0. What did it use this time? Let's see. All right, back to the basics. Let's go. VS Code. No, I'm okay with that. This is the one that I'm looking for. Debug with F5. Debug with command palette. Debug. And start debugging. Cool. Launch JSON. Core CLR. No launch JSON. Automatic debug configuration. Okay. Configuring launch JSON. Let's see. Yep, that's the one that I need. Okay. Configuring launch settings.json. Settings, CWD, args. Guys, honestly, this is the freaking problem, right? I really could have just used Visual Studio and not have run into any of this. Now I'm having to learn this whole new stuff. It's a shame. Like the thing I should be fighting today is not this. I'm just gonna say it. So Command Shift P, launch. Select launch target framework. Yes. No startup project selected. This is the startup project. How do I say that this is my... Okay. Can I do it in here? Startup project. Select C# startup project. Okay, beautiful. Garnet server. Cool, that is selected. Select C# startup project. Select launch target framework, net 9.0, and then you don't have an extension for tree. No. Did it still run my stuff? No, it did not. Okay. Okay. I know what the issue is over here. More C# options. Launch startup project. And boom. Okay. Why was that so hard? Why was that needlessly long? I don't know. So .NET args. .NET launch. Select launch configurations. Okay, I want to add Launch, debug. Okay, let's go to debug. Can help you start debugging either based on or with interactive chart. No, I want this, and I want it to be C# based, and I want it to use let's see, configurations. That's exactly what I want, but won't just let me do that. .NET, isn't there a way to create a config? Launch, terminal, unfold, fold. Core CLR launch settings, let's go look at that. Oh man, I could have copied that over, but I did not. Okay, that's fine. Command line RX, okay. Let's see. Oh shoot, I didn't even see this option. Just override this and then add a configuration. .NET, launch an executable file. Yes, please. That is what I was looking for. Garnet server. Core CLR, that's, and then over here what I'm going to do is -- server ready action, nope, not needed. There is no environment. There is no source file maps I need to worry about. Stop at entry is false. Yeah, that looks like it. Now the only question is, could not find the task build. Configure task. For CLR, .NET build. Yes. Okay. All right. Type task build. Is it like a name you need to give it? .NET build. Yeah, build the entire solution for like her. Just the fuck. I will actually commit Sudoku. Pre-launch task is build. Gotta give me a build task, man. debug task. Okay. Clearly, like throwing stuff and hoping that it will stick is not working. Get started. Nope, I was already debugging, wasn't I? Run and debug. Fucking VS Code. VS Code, args for debugger. C#. Yes. In launch.json. Line 10, args, okay. Won't be compiled when launching. Okay, cool. So this is my generate full paths, problem matcher. Yeah, that's literally it. Tasks, right? Let's go ahead. Oh my god, that was actually the right one. Holy cow. Does not exist. Okay, that's fine. We know how to fix this. Holy fuck. That took a while. Let's go look at the output files. Where does the bin live? It's inside of main Garnet server. That's why, buddy. Main Garnet server bin. Oh my god. Unable to encounter. Please see log message above. Object heap memory is unknown. That does not seem right. The reason why it doesn't seem right is right over here. -- object heap memory. Object heap. Maybe it wasn't. Oh, it was obj heap memory. Okay. Cool. So the good thing is this is a one-time setup. You know, I've been like bitching about, oh, like this was probably easier in Visual Studio for me to set up, whatnot, but the fact is it was probably just as hard the first time around. Cool. Everything is set up over here. What we need is we need Redis CLI now. Redis-CLI. Cool. So can I do brew install Redis CLI? Yep. All right. Searching for similarly named. Did you mean Redis? No, I did not mean Redis. Brew install resp CLI. Okay. I'm pretty Redis CLI Mac. Yeah, I only want the Redis CLI. I do not want the Redis server. Let's see. Brew ls Redis. Yeah, there you go. So I would rather use the resp CLI. Resp CLI. Let's see. Ooh, yes, this works out. I can go ahead and use this. Yes, Mark Gravel. This is the same person who wrote Stack Exchange client, or like maintains it. So I trust him with this stuff, with Resp stuff. Not found in NuGet feeds. Why are you not finding it? -- version. Oh no. Okay. Resp-CLI was successfully installed. Is not currently in your path. Command C, Command V. Okay, go ahead, add that in the path, and then for this session, add it in the path, and then, my God, no, not my Cassandra stuff. I was not cheating on Garnet. I was just looking. Rest CLI. Ping, pong. Okay, awesome. Now we are connected to our stuff. So what I'm going to do is sadd foobar. Cool. Sadd okay, this is going to take way too long if I go down this route, but the point is this is connected. Control C, clear. Okay. Let's have ChatGPT write me a little program to just spam my server. Write a bash script to spam the to send sadd foo random key random value using resp CLI. Alright, so while that is going, I'm quickly going to look at what all it can do. REPL. Is there any other way I can just like resp-CLI dash help? Aha, so I can just send it command and arguments. Okay, cool. Mod. Let's go look at this. What does it do? Generates a random string using random key. Okay, random value. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Now, what I'm going to do instead is fix it up to use resp CLI instead. So if Redis CLI is available, get rid of this. Go command. Okay. We're gonna do resp CLI. Right? We already know the hosting. We already know the port. Right? And we're gonna let this go burr. Now the tricky portion. Oh, my find references and like my actual like code stuff will work. So cache size tracker, freaking beautiful. All right, now when we hit that, oh, it's too big, do something about it portion of it, we're gonna put a little breakpoint in there. Control Shift Enter. Yes, there we go. It's working. Okay, everything's working. Life's good. Cache size, lock size tracker. Let's see. I think it's 55 lines above, 30 lines below. Cool. If the size is greater than this, buddy, give me that. Boom. Okay. If the size is below the target size, don't do anything. Awesome. So that is set. Right, and then we had this like random ass script that I've added. Where is that script gone? Requirements. Okay, sadd random sh. All right, sadd sh dot slash sadd random sh. Oh, illegal byte sequence. What the fuck? sadd, what is tr illegal byte sequence? Let's go look at that. Okay, success on the connection, right? Okay, I should probably just test this. Resp-CLI ping. Meow, meow. Said meow, meow. Okay. Result. What is this doing over here? I'm gonna say escape for illegal. How do I do that inline chat stuff? Copilot, editor inline chat, command I. Okay. Escape for illegal Connecting illegal byte sequence. Okay, I wanted to make some much bigger values. The generate random value is not big enough. Generate random string. Okay, it is adding stuff. Cool. Let's see. I don't want to send 10 SAT commands. I want to send a lot more than 10. So number of commands, default value, I can just give it, cool, number of commands is. Now, it might be the case that 10K is far too much. Right, and now we restart. So, hold up, the cache size tracker, let's go look at that, right? In the cache size tracker, let's go debug this at construction time. Right, so it says it is target size is 1024. I will exceed 1024 pretty damn quickly. Now let's see. Why is F11 not working? Why is my step in 2 not working? Step in 2. Okay, F11. Right, let's keep stepping into it. Still something makes sense. Read only. Okay. Subscribe deserializations. Cool, we made one more thing. We set it to what we created. Lock, subscribe, disposable, cool, and then aha. Is size beyond limit? Right? Control Shift Enter. Total size bytes. Alright, that is good with me. I am good to try spamming the server. Okay, we have hit what I was hoping we would hit. Who has called you? Let's look at the call stack. Resize if needed, call stack. Okay. You've just been called from the task. That's it. Let us go ahead with this. Now, while the log size dot total is greater than the high target size, 2296, and the empty page count is less than the maximum cost of empty pages in allocator, you're going to be trying something. Cool. Now what is it you try? You say allocated page count 2 is greater than the buffer size, which is not. Oh my god. Empty page count. Now I'm going to step into this. This is a little tricky because F11. Okay, so it's no one's watching this. Okay. Yeah, that was it. Increasing empty page count. Who uses this? Shift F12. Ah, it's working. Empty page count. Right, and then Control Shift Enter. log size tracker, cache size tracker uses it. Okay, interesting. If I just let it continue, yeah, it's just going up. Now, I wonder if when I pause, so in my normal workflow, I'm used to just saying, hey, let me look at how much memory it's taking in the diagnostics window. I don't know if that's available to me in Visual Studio Code, and that's going to be pretty sad. Let's see. Diagnostics. Is there memory? No, there is no way for me to look at the memory. Unless I say, okay, and this guy continues, right? And what I do over here is I say resp-cli let's go look at the object store memory. Index size, heap memory size, 7351. Huh, look at this. And what is it that we set it to? Interesting. So if I just let this go up, right, in one side, then I do another terminal resp-cli info memory object store heap memory size still going up. Gonna do it again. Info object store empty page count, buffer size, begin address, read cache, I don't care, tail address, memory size in bytes. If I do info yeah, info memory, yep, it's object store log, yeah, it's just going up. Cool. So the heap memory size limitation is not working. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this, right? So let's go make an issue, and we're just going to ask them about it. Oh, I can't make an issue without logging in. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna make an issue. We have to, just so we understand this. But yeah, we just debug through object store heap memory, and from the looks of it, that is not exactly working as I expected it to be. Main requirements for me, object store heap memory side, nothing happens when this exceeds. Is this on purpose? Check on Discord, check on GitHub. Cool. Well, what else did we want to ask? Compaction frequency. Yep, let's go look at that. Compaction, or I know off the top of my head that it's configured somewhere here. Compaction. Cool. So the compaction task runs every now and then, and what does it do? Control O, Control F12. Control F12 is not working. go to implementation should be Command F12. We'll look at this for simplicity. I know under the hood they're both basically just the same. Go further in, and then no need to compact before checkpointing. Okay. If the frequency is greater than 0, then don't do anything. I think this is because this is the call when it gets called from, okay, we will look at this in full screen. No need to compact before checkpointing. Buddy, that makes, do compaction task, control F12 or command F12, single database, do compaction, run compaction unspecified. If the compaction frequency is greater than 0, you do nothing? Okay, let's go test this out. We will set this over here, or even better, Control O, Control O, Control O. Let's go to compaction tasks. Yep, if the frequency is greater than 0 and the compaction type is not none, go ahead and try compaction. Yes, let's see. Cool, I will add this in here, and this time what we will do is we will have compaction type as well as compaction frequency that we're going to add. So we're going to say cool. Love when like Copilot just like makes up the config. Let's see. So we're doing compaction dash frequency, right? And we're setting it to it's in seconds, so every 30 seconds, just so we can get a pretty quick feedback loop. So you can do compaction dash type. And so this is a tricky one. What kind of compaction do we have available to us? Compaction. Our storage tier. Data on disk is split into segments. Yes. Triggering compaction. Where'd it go? Okay. Triggering compaction, or which creates a task that wakes up to compact. If the number of segments on disk exceeds, compaction runs using a specified strategy so that we end up, okay, for the object store, object compaction segments. Okay, they both share the same frequency though. And then the type shift. So we're not using shift. The scan and lookup. For every record, we perform a random lookup to check if it's live, is before, or copied to the tail. No, scan makes sense to me. Live records are copied to the tail, and we're just, okay, scan it is. Let's go ahead and try that. Dash scan. All right, cool. Let's relaunch it. So this is going to be tricky. The reason I say it's going to be tricky is because I need to somehow, path default arc parser did not work. Compaction frequency is unknown. Compaction frec. It's probably more efficient for me to look it up, but I can take an educated guess. That's what we will do, and we do have it. Beautiful. So forget the size tracker. Let's go look at do compaction. So step into it. F11's not working. Why are you not working? F11, yeah. F11. Shift F11. Oh no, Shift F11. Freaking hell. Okay, Shift F11 is the opposite. It's the step out. So I just gotta wait for another 30 seconds, which is just okay. It's also getting pretty dark in here, so let me see if I'm still visible. I am still visible. Okay. Presenter overlay. small. Okay. I don't like that. I don't like what it's doing over here. Presenter overlay, large. Holy cow, that's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna put this up so we have a little bit of natural light from the city. Alright, cool. So let's get back to this. Oh no, it's probably showing like two of me's, one of me here, one of me somewhere over there. I'm gonna cancel that one and then we'll continue. Okay, we're back inside of new compaction. F11, not Shift F11, guys. Step into it. Step into it. Now. Okay. Aha. Yeah. It won't work if the compaction frequency is. So compaction is not working after is applied. Periodic compaction. No need to I know what this is. Someone's probably using this in the checkpointing. Yep. Yep, that's what it is. Okay. So the way I understand is the issue is that compaction is not working by frequency because it shares the method, and that's causing an issue. So it should still go in here, right? And it should say that it's not greater than the size, but it should still go in here. It's not going in there. So yeah, looks like we have a bug that we found that we will go and fix as well as a part of this. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to do that without like having to sign into Microsoft on my personal Mac. So let's go back. Let's go into Command P. Requirements for me. I do need this, and this isn't working because it thinks checkpoint called it. Okay, that's fine. We will slowly make our way further. So this is going to be scan. We said we're using scan. What else is, let's see, what else is so this is an action item. Action item, this isn't working because it thinks checkpoint called it. You want to say checkpointing somewhere. We can just say, is there a way to do periodic checkpoints? Let's see. Checkpointing. Nope. Introducing Garnet checksum, direct checkpoints are stored, logical databases, checkpoint API. Cool. PG save and save. Yeah, I can just have it say like save every now and then, but we'll have to schedule something. Compaction frequency. Recover is true. And then what was the, yep, let's go look at command F, checkpoint, on demand checkpoint, use with main memory, blah blah blah, checkpoint throttle delay, cool. So in conclusion, checkpointing can probably just be something I can schedule on my own to say, hey, like, I need a cron task to do my checkpointing on RPi. Awesome. Yeah, with that said, I am pretty capped out for the night in terms of how much do I want to code after having worked my 8 hours. So I'm going to go hit the gym, but we will continue this development process further until we have everything running on Raspberry Pi in a stable manner. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining, and this was a 2-hour long video. Pretty solid. Awesome. See ya.